Here's that part two on the march. Dragon versus Trump, part 2 on the march. And we gotta get it keeping on going, on the go, and that's what we gotta go do it. And here we switch it on the line, switch it on the go, and that's what it is now as we go on the go. And Dragon versus Trump, you know, always 24/7 for the butchers and the bakers, the nurses, the doctors, the grocery store clerks, and all involved, you know, on the distribution of food and all those on the road now. Truckers by the thousands across North America, always thinking about them, always thinking about the firefighters, the butchers, those, you know, changing some diapers in the daycares. The day's over, you know, but there's still a lot of work being done now, making those cheeseburgers, hamburgers, and of course fast food. I of course get a lot of love and respect for those who build it, a little bit of XYZ, and who make those hamburgers and cheeseburgers and sandwiches and fries, you know, across the North American civilizational complex, across North America. For the North American Collective Workers Party, we gotta rock and roll with that, and that's how we gotta go drill it here with the bus drivers coming on the XYZ, and gotta get it on the go with that, and gotta salute the bus drivers, see the buses, some of them are electric, like this bus services across North America. We got a lot of work to do, myself included, you know. My work is 24/7 geopolitics 24/7, rock and roll for the farmers, butchers, bakers, nurses, doctors, grocery store clerks. And as I was discussing in the first video, this is the third one, second one of the night. Probably gonna be that Trinity. Gonna go all the way to the bridge, then we're gonna go up and go around the bow, because I don't want to make it more than 2 hours. Of course, march today, just it's my birthday today, you know, birthday, you know, 6th of November. I actually totally forgot I was in the midst of cleaning and geopolitical analysis. I would have voted for Kamala. I would have, of course, voted for Kamala, this Quebecer, Canadian, North American, who was born in the USA 3 times. Twice as a man, once as a woman, served in the United States Armed Forces, in the same army, 2 different wars, 156 years apart. So sending some love, somebody gonna make some good loving today. Some good good salutation today, some good loving across North America. So I just saw somebody about 44 minutes or so ago, they were holding hands, and I said, yes, that's what we're fighting for as well. Not just fight. You gotta get that love for the bakers, butchers, nurses, doctors, grocery store clerks, and all those now making some of that fast food, hamburgers, cheeseburgers, bacon, and lettuce, and all that good fast food across North America. I don't know how you people, workers, do it. I gotta salute, because I wouldn't last a day, you know. But then again, maybe my workout training program system that I designed, created, and I'm good at marching and geopolitics. That's my domain, my realm, my kingdom. I predicted what's happening now 5 years ago. I got proof of that work 2019 in October. I predicted an international conflagration across the world. In other words, of World War III. I predicted it back in 2019. So this independent aspect got HFA, high functioning autism, and it's also known as Asperger's. It's not a mental illness. It is a neurological mental divergent condition which makes me predisposed to obsessive interest. And those obsessive interests is my holy trinity: geopolitics, the study, the analysis. I am an independent geopolitical theoretical analyst and theorist, an artist, an athlete, philosopher. It is geopolitics 24/7. Geopolitics 24/7. Even now, my mind, of course, works for fitness, because it's fitness, and I am a fitness junkie, fitness obsessed, and, you know, fitness 24/7. Created my own workout training program system and rock and roll. So fitness, dancing is my favorite sport. Dancing is my favorite sport. But I love that fitness. So fitness, sports, rock and roll, and here it is on the mountain as I go. My second home here from the Montreal Hawk Island, HAWK. That's my totem bird, totem animal, totem TOTEM. Totem animal is the HAWK, Hawk Island from Montreal, metropolis, 2.5 million people. And I always encourage people to work out, train, exercise. And working out, training, exercising has been, will be my mission and of choice. And, you know, I got that joy, although I'm financially stressed. And I'm looking for business opportunities 24/7, specifically relating to my dream. The dancing goddess in the dragon kingdom, 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 the dancing goddess in the dragon kingdom. And yours truly, that it is what it is now, you know. It's always now. I'm always grateful, thankful, and we gotta get that XYZ and, you know, meditation, and, you know, I played that defense, and like I discussed before in the first video and other videos, you know, I don't like violence. And I love sports and fitness and football, gridiron, channeling. The aggression is important. channeling with sports and fitness and, with sportsmanship and all that. I love that. And I love football, NFL. It's also sports 24/7, although dancing is my favorite sport. But I love sports and fitness. It's something which I am also obsessed about, with my trinity of obsessive interest. And it's for the firefighters, butchers, bakers, nurses, doctors, and grocery store clerks 24/7 now. I'm thinking about how they make those burgers, those cheeseburgers, hamburgers, and I admire fast food workers. They deserve a little increase. Please, NFL National Football League, this independent athlete who loves dancing and financially stressed, and asking the NFL National Football League, NBA National Basketball Association, NHL, MLB, that 40-40 trinity, of course, to please reduce the cost of the tickets by 44.9%, and please reduce the cost of the tickets by 44.9%, 44.9% by 44.9%. Reduce the cost of the tickets by 44.9%, by 44.9%, 44.9%. That's my estimation of the value of course, with the prices have increased tremendously, about an average of that percentage in estimated. I'm good in percentages in mathematics. That's my strength in percentages, and about that needs to be increased, because it's not all about Wall Street, and prices have increased. Myself financially stressed. I'm grateful, thankful. My rent's paid, electricity bill's paid, got food and coffee, and that's it is for the go, And I bought 5 rings, and I got a new deadline to propose. A marriage alliance like in 1 Kings 3, and gotta get it for that rock and roll as we go through my head left and right, and of course gonna propose again, and until November 17 is my deadline. I was gonna propose today, but I ended up cleaning, and I get a ring, and my YouTube channel Google reminded me that today's my birthday. I had totally forgot. And of course, I do not have a birth certificate. I've been looking for it. I found, of course, high school here in Canada, Quebec from 20 years ago, and, all sorts of documents from high school diploma and other references. But if you ask me about high school, I just don't remember. If you ask me about all these things that happened before more than 8-9 years, I just remember I black out my memory after I was attacked by surprise viciously in the Montreal metro. Kind of like a cowardly attack. I was surprise attacked viciously. I was viciously attacked, and I hit my head. My arm was like, my right arm was dislocated. I went to the hospital. I dislocated, and that was my Cillian pirate episode thereafter, and I have a blackouts of memories. I remember most of the past 7 years, 8-9 years, moving from a moldy place. There's also somebody who says hello there. Always salutations, with the good salutations he's wearing, of course, goes a lot on the bike, and we become friends, and I smile to him, he smiles back, and we never speak. It's always a silent smile. It's been like this for years, and he slowly started smiling, so I'm smiling, and I'm good intentioned. I don't like violence, but I will defense. I'm hyper vigilant because of the trauma and those traumatic flashes that I have, but besides that, 7 years ago, across Canada, coast to coast, I was depressed and suicidal, and I got out of being depressed and suicidal 7 years ago. 7 years ago, I got out of being depressed and suicidal 7 years ago, and that event changed my life when I crossed Canada, coast to coast 7 years ago, and that just made me come out of being depressed and being suicidal, made me come out of being depressed and being suicidal, being depressed and being suicidal, and here I am, survived COVID and predicted what's happening now back in 2019. And I always like to see people hugging with consent and hygiene, hugging like you never hugged before. And I know somebody's gonna make love in Quebec, Canada, gonna make that good love in rainbow, black, white, or rainbow. And that's what gives me hope. That's also worth fighting for. It's not all about fight. You gotta have some love and understanding. I say God, goddess said with a God, goddess said. And we gotta get for that God and that goddess said. And I gotta salute, I gotta salute those firefighters. Gotta salute the firefighters. Gotta get back home safe, and get back home safe, and make some of that good loving. If you want me loving, I wash feet, I don't mind. For the building of the Forgotten Goddess Temple and the North American People's Imperial Coliseum, I'm willing to wash feet, cook, wash feet, and clean, cook, and wash feet. And I gotta salute the firefighters, LOV, Somebody make him some good loving, tonight. Hold him height and say hello, love to my anonymous friend deserves to be 7 times richer than Oprah. If I will to build something before my dust is gone and I'm a piece of dust, POS sometimes myself, I will to build a forgotten goddess temple. Forgotten goddess temple, forgotten goddess temple, the forgotten goddess temple, forgotten goddess temple, the forgotten goddess temple. That's what I will to build, Forgotten goddess, yes, I did say GODDSS, and the North American People's Imperial Coliseum and the House of the Dragon with it, the House of the Dragon, and of course the House of the Dragon, the Imperial Coliseum with it, the Imperial Coliseum with it, and gotta get it, that Imperial Coliseum with it, and that's what it is with that, and we gotta get it on that Imperial Coliseum and the House of the Dragon, and that's what I will to build. Construction workers, credit you, trillions of kisses I got. Trillions of kisses I got. Kisses I got by the trillions, credited from the forgotten goddess, and some push-ups, some rock and roll for the farmers, butchers, bakers, nurses, doctors, grocery store clerks, 24/7, for the firefighters. Somebody gotta love that public security. Nobody's perfect. We're individuals. Myself willing to finance, to do good kisses first and foremost, rock and roll push-ups in theory. The 2 complementary covenant and cooperative institutions. The cooperative institutions, the Dragon Army, Public-Private Partnership, and the Dancing Goddess Army, that DGA. And my dream, of course, is for a Public-Private Partnership and for the collective North American Civilization, part of the ongoing North American Collective Workers' Party. Let's get that Public-Private Partnership. And I'm a centrist, pro-labor and labor and love revolutionary centrist, and sometimes compromises like we made here across the North American Collective. And I would have voted Kamala. It was go Kamala go. And it's Dragon versus Trump. I challenged Donald versus Trump. I have been challenging Donald Trump to a boxing match on the Canadian-US border. Let's build that North American People's Imperial Coliseum, North American People's Imperial Coliseum, and gotta build that North American Imperial Coliseum together for North American Union, the Democratic Republic. And I already got those red gloves. I started challenging Donald Trump to a boxing match when the imposition of Canadian aluminum and steel was imposed, and Canadian aluminum and steel, and my brothers and sister, we got to get that coast to coast DRT and unite to get that DRT, Dragon Army Security and Service, based on my philosophies and initiatives and protocol, and U911, integrated citizen theory, the citizen integration theory across the collective North American civilization. I predicted what's happening now back in 2019 across the world, and all I know is the island of Montreal when I crossed Canada coast to coast 2017, and this is my home for many years. In past lives, incarnations, I was born 3 times in the USA, once as a woman, twice as a man, in the same United States Armed Forces, 156 years apart. I served in 2 different wars apart, and here I am now in the North American Collective Complex. We got to get that North and South united, North America united, and here's Canada, true North, strong and free. We got to add a little bit of that loving, some love, some understanding. It's not all about strength and fight, although it's Dragon versus Trump. And relaunching the complex, and dancing is my favorite sport, and support the DRT, always rock and roll, thinking about the firefighters, butchers, bakers, nurses, doctors, grocery store clerks, and all those on the fast food, please. NFL, National Football League, NHL, National Hockey League, NBA, National Basketball Association, and MLB, please reduce the cost of the tickets by 44.9%. And if I would be a billionaire, I would have loved to go give some charity. I wish I would have 44 billion. I would have given 10% of 44 billion is 4 billion. If I would have been famous, whatever the case may be, Elon Musk or XYZ other, I would have just went from November till the inauguration of Donald Trump. I would have went to just donate 50,000, 44,000, whatever the case may be, to vets, homeless people, whatever the case may be, just to donate a bit, just to make some donations, if I would have been a billionaire, just to pay back, because of course all the civilizational complex, that's what of course did, and that's what it is for the complex, and that's what it is for the complex, and that's what it is for the complex, and that's what it is for that, That's what it is for the complex, and that's what it is we got to put it on. That's what I would have been doing as a redemption, because of course millionaires and billionaire class of North America were enabled by the 20th century workers. 20th century workers enabled it, enabled the butchers, the bakers, the nurses, Hydro-Quebec workers, and we got to take that public-private partnership. We can't just, sometimes centrism, I believe the 21st century, my centrism, public-private partnership based as somebody who has suffered, struggled, and of course, I had many employments during COVID the past 5 years, but due to my HFA condition, high-functioning autism, also known as Asperger's. Asperger's is a neurological mental divergent condition, of course. I'm neurodivergent, I'm prone to obsessive interest, and I got symptoms I gotta work on, because there's no medication for HFA, for Asperger's. You gotta work on the symptoms. I gotta work on the symptoms, so those symptoms, of course, managing my symptoms and XYZ, whatever the case may be, what it is. So that's what I gotta be doing on that. So now as I cross the bridge, I'm gonna be checking to see the bridge collectors and who build the bridges, the public works, and are calling for the North American Infrastructure Renewal Act. My DRT theory best, the debt refusion theory, which I'm going to discuss now. Before we switch a little bit of that French, the DRT stands for debt refusion theory. We're going to take all the my DRT theory stands for debt refusion theory. Why is the motive that I say that is the only solution now is due to the fact that today, brothers and sisters, we pay $46.5 billion in interest. $46.5 billion in interest. That's the amount of interest we pay on the public debt. We pay $46.5 billion. A billion has 9 zeros. That's 46,000. Just the interest, debt servicing, just the interest on the public debt. In 2020-21, it was 20.3 billion. 20.3 times 2 is 40.6. It more than doubled. No way. There's no way out of this. But my DRT in 2025, the public, we're not going to be able to finance the firefighters, the butchers, the public, any public service in Canada. Yeah? The king is absent. The king is absent. The king is absent, my friends. My friends, the king is absent. We need to get that North American Democratic Republic. The Republic of Canada. It's time for the Republic. In the 21st century. My DRT, Canada first and then Canada, US, my DRT theory also includes monetary integration theory. Monetary integration theory is exactly what was done in the European Union. In the European Union, in the European Union, in the European Union, in the European Union, in the European Union. So the Europeans, the French, the Germans, the Italians, they got rid of their central banks. 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 They destroyed the central banks. They destroyed their own currency. They created a common currency. They created a common currency known as the euro and the central bank, the ECB, the European Central Bank. So my theory includes monetary integration theory. So my theory, and paradoxically, my theory is a solution. Is the solution. There's the only solution now for where we are with the public financial system across Canada and the US for that matter as well, because it's very parallel, similar, in many ways the same, but with some differences, but generally, right? So the DRT, debt refusion theory, the DRT, debt refusion theory, we're going to take all the public and the private debt. So my debt, your debt, our debt, my debt, your debt, our debt, all my debt, I got $10,000 in debt. I got $10,000 in debt to the Royal Bank of Canada. So my debt, your debt, our debt, coast to coast, coast to coast, coast to coast. My debt, your debt, our debt, all the debt, public and the private debt, we're going to refuse it. All the debt, coast to coast, coast to coast, coast to coast, all the debt, coast to coast, we're going to add it all up, we're going to add it all up, we're going to add it all up. So all the debt, public and private debt, public and private debt, we're going to add it all up, you know. We're going to add it all up. So all the debt, public and private debt, we're going to add it all up. So all the debt, public and private debt, all the public and private debt, we're going to add it all that debt up. We're going to add it all up. So all that number is going to be the initial money supply for a new central bank, 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 for a new central bank. All the debt, public and private, all the debt, public and private. All the debt, including my 10,000. We're going to add it all up and keep in mind again that my DRT theory, debt refusion theory includes monetary integration theory, 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 you know, the monetary integration theory. So that's what it is, you know, that's what it is, and that's what we're going to get doing with that. So that's what it is with that, and we're going to get it on the go, so that's what it is with that. So the DRT, debt refusion theory, the debt refusion theory, the debt refusion theory, the debt refusion theory, we're going to create it. We're gonna create, of course, the DRT, the debt refusion theory, for the creation of the UE. So for the creation of the UE, 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 the universal exchange unit. So all the debt, public and private debt, all the public and the private debt. So all that private debt, all the private debt, all the public and the private debt, we're gonna create it, we're gonna do it. So all the public and the private debt, my 10,000 included, yours, ours, all the debt, the public and the private debt, all the public and the private debt, all the debt, the public and the private debt, we're gonna, of course, refuse it. So all that public and the private debt, we're gonna create it, do the refusion. So my DRT contains monetary integration theory also. So all that debt, the public and the private debt, all the public and the private debt, all the public and the private debt, all the public and the private debt, we're gonna create a new theory. All the public and the private debt, all the public and the private debt, we're gonna refuse it, and we're gonna create a new currency called the UE. So we're gonna take all the public and the private debt, we're gonna add it all up, and that's what it is with that. So all the public and the private debt, we're gonna add it all up. All the public and the private debt. Bless, we're gonna add it all up. Hi. I'm doing financially stressed, but
I'm sorry, I can't help you there.
oh, you don't apologize. It's not your fault. Do not apologize. It's not your fault. But I'm grateful. I paid my rent. I got food, so
That's all that matters, really.
I can't complain. I mean, farmers, butchers, bakers, nurses, Hydro-Quebec workers, firefighters. We gotta love them, and something will come up.
For sure.
Something will come
Good
up.
luck to you anyway, man.
Thanks, buddy. Are you looking for some help for something?
No, I'm good now.
You know somebody who might employ, I have Asperger's, HFA, high functioning autism, so I'm just neurodivergent, you know, but I'm pretty fit. I'm able to do lots of different work and employments.
Maybe down at the corner there, down at the
Yeah.
Minico area, down in the, maybe looking for a cashier or something, but I'm not sure.
No problem. I'm waiting. I'm always applying, and I'm open for business, you know.
Good for you.
All right, buddy.
care now.
Love you later, man. Ciao, ciao. Hot today, eh?
Yeah, beautiful day. I can't complain about this.
Yes, sir. Take care, buddy. Yep. As a fellow citizen there, and you know, with Asperger's is a bit weird, but senior citizens, they built, eh? You gotta, somebody still loves you, old, but old people. It's not old people, but it's senior citizens. You know, I work with Civilisation and I really enjoy working with the senior citizens, and I think I did some good on the good part on that, but senior citizens, we gotta get it on the senior citizens, and that's what it is with that, that's what it is with that, that's what it is with that, and that's what it is for XYZ, so gotta get that LOV, you know, so it is what it is, and got it is with that, and that's what it is for that, and that's what it is with that. So XYZ, man, and salutations. Maybe they build, he's one who built hydroelectric dams, Hydro-Quebec dams, somebody who served in a firefighter, served as a farmer, served at whatever work he did in the 20th century. Somebody still got love for you senior citizens, you know, and we got to get that Dragonomy, coast to coast, ocean to ocean, 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 coast to coast, ocean to ocean. That's it, that's all, that's it, that's all, that's it, that's all, rock and roll, and that's it for the XYZ, XYZ, and that's it for the XYZ, and this we're gonna get some LOV, you know, we gotta get it on the go with that. So it's XYZ for the love, for the butchers, bakers, nurses, doctors, and my fellow senior citizen there, you know, see, just told them about Asperger's, being neurodivergent, you know, because I am intense, but I don't like violence. I do not like violence, and I can be pretty intense, and I'm hyper vigilant because I lived a traumatic experience. I was attacked a few years ago in the Montreal Metro. I fell, hit my head, and had a arm, you know, the right arm had to be replaced, and then I got a Citoyen pirate episode, my own Citoyen pirate episode, my own Citoyen pirate episode. So anyways, back to the DRT debt refusion theory. We're gonna take all the public and the private debt, all the public and the private debt, including my 10,000. All the debt, public and private, is going to be refused. So it's going to be refused. It's going to be refused. So take all the public-private debt, and keep in mind that my DRT debt refusion theory, D for D debt, R refusion theory, of course, includes monetary integration theory. Monetary integration theory is exactly what was done in the European Union. Monetary integration theory is exactly what was done in the European Union. So we're going to take all the debt, public and the private debt, coast to coast, my 10,000 included, that we're going to convert to the US dollar, because the United States dollar still is the currency of choice for world trade, international business, global finance, import, export, and of course global affairs. So all the debt, public and private, we're going to refuse it and create a new currency based on the value of the US dollar called the UE, U dot, universal, E dot, exchange unit, the UE. We're going to set an interest rate level of 10%, maximum, it could be 3.33, 7.18, 9.3, 6.1, or whatever the case may be, 3.33, 1.56, or whatever below 10%. Thereafter, after we implement this theory, that's going to be the new standard interest rates, no higher than 10 afterwards. We got to do it in the 21st century, the DRT. And of course, all the debt, public and private, all the debt, public and private, is going to be, of course, the debt, public and private debt is going to be the new debt, public and private. So all that debt is going to be the initial money supply for this new currency, which we're going to call the UE, the UE universal exchange unit, the universal exchange based on the value of the US dollar, based on 10%. With all that money, it's going to be the initial money supply. Canada first, then United States, of course, just like the European Union. Mexico, Haiti, Dominican Republic, but Canada first. It's got to be done in Canada first, and United States, North America, just like the European Union. They did several countries put together. It could even be transatlantic if the Europeans, the transatlantic, NATO, North Atlantic Treaty Organization member states, NATO. But for NORAD complex, for the North American Civilization complex, for North America first and foremost, for Canada first and foremost, Canada coast to coast, create the currency called the UE. And with that money, we're going to be able to build more arenas like this, the civilization infrastructure. We're going to be able to rebuild the North American collective infrastructure, rebuild the North American collective infrastructure of North America, build more hydroelectric dams, finance citizens to work out, train, exercise, finance mass tourism, and of course, create the two complementary government and cooperative institutions, public-private partnership, the Dragon Army for security service in the 21st century, and the DGA Dancing Goddess Army. The DGA Dancing Goddess Army for the environment, for dancing is my favorite sport, and for the Integrated Citizen Dance League. An integrated citizen dance league, an integrated citizen dance league. Well, that's the machine. See, a weird symptom of Asperger's, I focused on certain details which some people will say, what the fuck? PC 2990LC. See that number? PC 2990LC. So now I'm obsessed about what's the meaning behind is it a classification? Whatever the case may be, is it a classification? But this is a beautiful beast. And it takes brains and muscle to build the North American People's Coliseum, the North American People's Coliseum, and here they got that investment and get that public-private partnership to build the North American People's Coliseum and the Forgotten Goddess, yeah, I say Goddess Temple, the Forgotten Goddess Temple, House of the Dragon, and the Rainbow People's Palace. And I credit 718 trillions of kisses. 718 trillions of kisses I credit. 718 trillions of kisses I got credited. So anybody want to kiss, I can kiss over time, do push-ups over time, work out every time, rock and roll over time every time, and geopolitics over time every time. 24/7 geopolitics, independent ASPE, artist, athlete, philosopher, geopolitical theoretical analyst and theorist, and here we are on that go as we go now, you know. Here we are on the go as we go now, and always meditating about construction workers, because I'm a big fan of cranes. I have a crane fetish, and I don't see any cranes here, but I'm always meditating about everything that's transpiring. Now I gotta adjust a little bit my backpack, because my backpack got about something in it in case it rains, and I got a bit of rain gear with me, and I got a little bit of a football, and that's what it is with yours truly. Fitness, sports, dancing is my favorite sport, and it's overtime every time. And you know, I love construction workers, and gotta send in some LOV construction workers, butchers, bakers, nurses, doctors, train conductors, always meditating now. Complex, coast to coast, the highways, the security and service, and you know, we gotta get that Dragon Army. See, 10 million were invested. She says 10 million government of Quebec, 10 million. So my DRT, debt refusion theory, to create the UE, we're gonna be able to mass build the infrastructure and open up some mountains like Cheyenne and build infrastructure for defense, coast to coast, ocean to ocean, for defense, coast to coast, ocean to ocean, in terms that we're gonna be able to intercept those missiles. Here's the 6.2 million, 6.2 construction center, recreational center. So that's good. We're gonna be able to do coast to coast, because during the 44 years years and 9 months during the 44 years and 9 months. 44 years and 9 months. Some say close to 45. It's close to 45 between 1947. Some say 1945. I say 1947, February, March. And 1991 ended December 26th to be precise, when the dissolution of the Soviet Union occurred. It's 44 years and 9 months, so almost 45 years of the Cold War. We got so many machinery, built of machinery and ICBM rockets, and of course nuclear warheads, and we're close to nuclear war than ever before. The nukes might pop off tonight, and we could have a global financial crash occurring. It's a possibility, you know, it cannot be ruled out. Just like COVID, I don't know what caused COVID. I know I had it February 2020, March. It was like death, pestilence, and disease. Like death, pestilence, and disease. I know it sounds like death, pestilence, and disease, like a rock and roll, hardcore, metal, death, thrash metal song, but that's what I felt, and that's what it was for me. So I died during COVID. I'm being reborn now, you know, with every step, every push-up, every hawk, every march, every meditating, every joy I get from seeing people hugging, kissing, and working out, and dancing, and jogging, and smiling, you know, and financially stressed, but I'm joyous. My rent's paid for the month of November. Got even some sweets at home, some chocolate, you know, 50 cents chocolate, and, you know, try out Canadian products if you come here. The DRT brothers and sisters, debt refusion tree is the only solution. I say it with a conviction and a heart, and a passionate heart, that is the only solution where we are now. At least in today's world, there's no other solution but the DRT, the debt refusion for the creation of the UE. That's it, what it is, and there's no other solution. You can argue all you want, but since the fact that we pay 46.5 billion, 46.5 billion, 46.5 billion, 46.5 billion, that's one has 9 zeros, that's 46 billion. That's 46 billion, 46 billion, 46 billion. So we pay 46 billion, 20.3 billion, 20.3 times 2, that's 40.6. It's 46.5, 46.5, 46.5 billion that we pay, the amount of debt, the amount of interest we pay on the debt, just the interest on the public debt of Canada. In 3 years, it more than doubled. In just from 2020, 2021 fiscal year to this year, 2023, 2024, it more than doubled in 3 years. Of course, during COVID, we had to implement several protocols and programs, of course, to sustain the population, but the fact remains that we pay more than double. There's no solution. This is a paradox. I mean, I have the Asperger's. My obsessive interest is geopolitics 24/7, and I'm a geopolitical theoretical analyst and theorist, geopolitics 24/7 events. Of course, I would have voted Kamala, but I predicted what's happening now. I have proof of that work. In 2019, in October, I predicted an international conflagration. I predicted it back there, back in 2019. CB, hawks. Hawks, I love hawk, H-A-W-K. Hawk is my totem bird. I just love to see that on the back, and I got my hawks. H-A-W-K is on Mount Royal, you know. Don't turn the other cheek. I may I be avenged sevenfold is the song 24/7 rock and roll. I don't turn the other cheek. May I be avenged sevenfold. I don't turn the other cheek. May I be avenged sevenfold. I don't turn the other cheek. But I don't like violence. I don't like violence. I like violence, but I'm hyper vigilant and gonna play that defense like that hardball ball. We're gonna play that defense like that hardball ball. We're gonna play that defense like that hardball ball. We're gonna play that defense like that hardball ball. We're gonna play that defense. We're gonna play that defense like that hardball ball. When my 49ers lost to the Ravens, you know, my 49ers lost to the Ravens. My 49ers lost to the Ravens. I gotta salute those who are gonna get that public works. We're gonna do with the DRT, with the UE. Gonna mass build the infrastructure. We're gonna build the North American Imperial Coliseum. We're gonna build the North American Imperial Coliseum. So that's what it is with that, and that's what it is for that rock and roll as we go for the XYZ, and that's what it is for the XYZ, and here we are on the island, 2.5 million people, grateful, thankful, you know, rent's paid, electricity bills paid, got food and coffee, and somebody getting that smile with a dog walking, and joyously so, safely secured, and, you know, we're gonna play that defense, coast to coast, ocean to ocean defense, and, you know, that's it. That's all. North Americans unite. The empire, the kingdom, North American Democratic Republic. There's a workout place in here, but I'm not gonna do any pull-ups. But I could, but I just don't. Okay, let's go do some pull-ups together. I guess 5. Just gonna do 5 pull-ups here, and then gonna switch it to that French because we're in liable Privee. Again, the DRT, debt refusion tree for the creation of the UE, the universally exchanging. We're gonna get that DRT, and that's what it is for that XYZ. You know, North Americans unite. Collective, and Dragon versus Trump started challenging Trump to a boxing match on the Canadian-US border back. back in 2019, 2018, when it was imposed, the tariffs on Canadian aluminum and steel were imposed. So ever since that day, of course, challenged Donald Trump to a boxing match. So let's go. Inauguration before the inauguration, and let's build together North American imperial colony. Gotta get it on that go, you know. And again, one more time, let's go. Gotta lift it up for the pull up. Oh yeah. And that's where we gotta go get it on that go, you know. So that's I gotta disinfect my hands though. Ah, that felt good. Anyways, don't want to be too extended. I just gotta be, because I getting up early on to work, and that's what it is with that, and that's what I'm gonna get it on the go. So it's always on the go now, and it's always on the go now as we head it in and head it out for that, and it's always something that we gotta get it on the go, and we gotta get it for the now, you know, and we gotta get it for the do, and we gotta get it for the now, and we gotta get that meditation, you know. So it's always meditative states, it's always something which we gotta be aware of, and we gotta of course be on the awareness, and we always gotta be on the clock, and it's not all about time, it's not all about, sometimes loving, man. Gotta have some love, you know. Gotta have some love. So many mysteries I don't know, so many things I don't know. I know I predicted what's happening now back in 2019. My DRT is the only solution, and that's about it. That's about rock and roll with that. And here we go on the march, you know. Here across a little bit from my neighborhood, and you know, I got a lot of scars, but I healed a lot, and working out, training, exercising every day, and lots of healing, and every day, you know, and live my own city pirate episode and trauma, and got that retrograde amnesia, blackouts of memories, you know. But I present to you a dream for today and for tomorrow, for the future North American collective civilization, collective complex, the North American Great Democratic Republic Union, for the North American Collective Workers' Party, North American Collective Workers' Party, North American Collective Workers' Party, the North American Collective Workers' Party, and here it is now, and we gotta get it on the go, and that's it, what it is, and that's it for the now, you know. And my XYZ, and we gotta get it on the go, and that's all we gotta get it on the go with that. So we gotta get it on the now, so we gotta get it on the go, and we gotta get it for the XYZ, and here we are, you know, on the XYZ now, and firefighters, butchers, bakers, nurses, doctors, grocery store clerks, and we gotta get it on the go. So it's always 24/7 for the butchers, bakers, nurses, doctors, grocery store clerks, and all involved on the production, distribution of food, and that's why we gotta get it on the go for now, and we always gotta get it on dimensions, you know, to switch it on that X, switch it on that Z, and always gotta get that meditative state and get it going for the X, and gotta watch it here, because if cars come and the brakes malfunction, you know, imagine, like that car, see, imagine that car, you know, gotta get it on the XYZ comes up. We gotta get it on the XYZ. Gotta get it XYZ, and we gotta get it on the go. So that's why we gotta go for the XYZ. Then the heads left, and butchers, bakers, nurses, they're drinking safely and enjoy that drink. I guess it's the Habs. I didn't know it started a game tonight, so gonna get back to see the game. Please reduce the cost of the tickets. 44.9%, 44.9%, 44.9%, 44.9%, 44.9%. NFL, National Football League, NHL, National Hockey League, NBA, MLB. Please, millionaires, give some charity. I would have loved to just go and give charity. That's what I would have loved. If I would have 44 billion, 10%, right from this November 6th until December 25th, I would have just went and donated to veterans, homeless, whatever. Say this is 44,000, 50,000, 45,000, whatever, between 44,000 and 50,000. I would have said, this is your second chance. If I see you in the same position in the next months, and get yourself cleaned up. Get yourself some clean. This is your second chance. This is the money, 44,000. This is your second chance. That's how I would have done across North America to the vets. I would have donated that money. I would have donated that money for the North American complex. I would have donated money for them, of course, to have a little bit of XYZ, and for them a little bit to have a little bit of that wealth. That's what I would have done, a little bit of wealth, a little bit of money. That's what I would have done. And here's my bank, the one that I said I got $10,000 in debt, the DRT there, the bank. What is money is to buy, sell. What is money is to buy, sell. Money is to buy, sell. That is what money is, to buy, to sell money. So just gonna discard a little bit of this trash here, and that's it. That's all rock and roll. So here we go. Whoops. I gotta get it on the go. I don't need to go to the bank because I know I'm in the minus, and I got $44. So I'm good for November. I got a bottle of wine already for my birthday, local Quebec wine. So gonna wait until Friday. Gonna celebrate with my friend, the one that I'm gonna propose to. It's special open BDSM switch marriage, open marriage, 21st century rainbow, being that I am, of course, androgynous, pansexual. Like, you get that 50-50, 50-50, 50-50. I'm androgynous, and that's it. That's all with that. So gotta get it for the butchers, bakers, nurses, doctors, and grocery store clerks, and all those involved in the production, distribution of food right here. Gonna take it for that DRT and encourage all the workout training exercise. Gonna have to switch it to that French in a bit because we're in La Belle Province, and gonna make his way for my fellow citizen who's getting on that go. Is getting on that drive. He's getting on the go, on the drive, work out a little bit, and he's getting on. Got like a fellow citizen, I just moved out of the way, and that's what I like to do for fellow citizens with a dog and a jogging, to make a little bit of a compromise. And in the public, we got added responsibilities, duties, and obligations, and I don't have the same duties and obligations at home. They're different. If I would have stayed in my dragon's lair, the same obligations, duties, and responsibilities would have not applied. The same duties, obligations, responsibilities would have not applied. The same duties, obligations, and responsibilities would have not been the same if I would have stayed home, right? Now that I'm outside, I got fellow responsibilities, duties, and obligations with my fellow citizens. And all who come to join us, of course, in the great Quebec, great Montreal metropolis. Is 2.5 million people, right? It's a big island, just a big island on island of the Hawk, HAWK, surrounded by a big river, and here we are on the go with that. And I always take that meditation 24/7, butchers, bakers, nurses, doctors, and grocery store clerks, and my mind is always geopolitics 24/7, fitness, sports, and dancing, and rock and roll, Rock and roll for the farmers, on the road for the butchers, for the bakers, for the nurses, those who change some diapers. It ain't all about Wall Street. It's not all about Wall Street. It's not all about Wall Street. That I sing it. I'd have been up in the last on the streets. I'd have been suffered, struggled, scars, COVID, depressed, suicidal, Today, Goddess, if I will to build something, for all that pain, suffering, I will to build something before I go. Forgotten Goddess Temple. That's what I will to build, the Forgotten Goddess Temple, Just non-sectarian for whatever. Gotta check my left, right, and we gotta go do it on the XYZ, and gotta be prudent, man, because you never know, the cars might accelerate, and although you gotta be prudent, because at the end of the day, it's the body that matters, no matter how expensive the car, the body, you can't put price on the body. Metal on wheels, as much as they're 44 billion and whatever the case may be, they're metals on wheels, metals on wheels. At the end of the day, they're metals on wheels, and that's it. That's all. Public workers, butchers, bakers, nurses, doctors, grocery store clerks and all involved in the production, distribution of food, you know. Gotta think about them and those who build the railroads here. Thank you, the aqueduct workers here. They're changing a little bit of the aqueducts. I gotta send some LOV workers of the past, present, and futures. Please give them some tickets. NFL, National Football League, NHL, National Hockey League, NBA, National Basketball Association, MLB. Please give them some tickets and let's organize DGA, Dancing Goddess Army. Some dancing for the public workers of North America. For the garbage collectors, I'm always curious about how the work, what they did here. All the work underneath, you know, civilization is a privilege, and that was my thesis, you know. Back in 2023 last year, my thesis was the privilege of civilization, because civilization is a privilege, and I don't like I criticize only if I offer alternative solutions, and Asperger's, we always offer alternative solution, and we're neurodivergent, so gossip and things like that we don't understand, because we're a minority. Less than 0.44% of people have Asperger's, right? So out of 300, not even one maybe is on the HFA, high functioning autism, HFA, known as Asperger's. Of course, being an Aspie myself, 1 out of 300. So I rock and roll 24/7, and here we go. Imagine all how it was built and done, and it says Murdoch there. So let's say made in Canada since 1853. See, it's written tiny there. So we Aspies, we focus on tiny details like that, which kind of to other people seem a bit weird, but we're neurodivergent, and that's it. That's all. Gonna hydrate. Let's go. HYDRATE, hydrate. That's it. That's all rock and roll, and that's it for the go. And here we go. We're gonna get it on that XYZ, and here we are. You know, I wish I could paint this, of course, on that rainbow. I wish I could paint that on the rainbow, and gotta paint it on the rainbow, red, and that's what it is for that. And gotta paint it. I wish I could paint it. I'm willing to volunteer. Bring me the paint, the permission. Let's go, Valerie Plant. I wish a little bit more color than gray. I like red, my favorite, you know, but I like a little bit of rainbow, and it could be black, white, and rainbow, but it's a big gray. Please, let's put some color. Let's go public-private partnerships. We need to put more color across the public transit in North America. I'm willing to put in the work to volunteer. It will take me about a day, 2 days, 3 days, a whole weekend to just paint from one side to the next. Just paint, and I put in the volunteer. I love volunteering to embellish the public, because it's the public sphere, you know, it's public, so we gotta make it on the public, you know, that's it. It takes work, eh? It's public-private partnership, it takes work. Public-private partnership, it takes work. Public-private partnership, so that's what it is. The DRT, debt fusion theory, there you go. Train conductors and butchers, bakers, nurses, doctors, always gotta send some LOV, and I would really love to paint here. Just paint, I'll go crazy. Rock and roll with it takes brains and muscle. It takes some doing. And I'm a doer. I like to do things, but with autism, Asperger's, HFA, high functioning autism, being an Aspie, it has been a difficult road to maintain a stable employment, and I got my difficulties, but I got my strengths, and you know, I'm joyous. I paid my rent, paid my electricity bill, got food and coffee, and got some sweets. So butchers, bakers, nurses, truckers, warehouse workers across North American, port workers in the ports, you know, they unloaded that, and that's it. That's all. We're gonna switch a little bit of that French because we're not that professional. We're gonna go out by here by the side, and then lecture in and driving in by the sides here, and now it's time I guess for that little bit of that French, because where we at, we in La Belle Province. So here we go, rock and roll on the go as we go now. Let's go for that French. We gotta go for that French now as we go, and train conductors gotta salute the train conductors. Imagine all the brains and the muscle to build the trains, and you get that 3G, 5G super technology. Sometimes it takes brains and muscle, and it takes lots of maintenance, you know. Fitness journey always begins for me now. Been on a fitness journey since I crossed Canada coast to coast 2017. Lost between 80 and 93 pounds in 2019, created my workout training program system, and predicted an international conflagration which is unfolding now. That's what my DRT theory is. The only solution was where the Republic finances, and coupled with the CIT, citizen integration theory, and the DRT, natural fusion theory, and the democratic fusion theory, you know. So that's why we're gonna go do it with that, and that's why we're gonna go cut it in through the neighborhood, and we're just gonna spin it up, and we're just gonna do like kind of like a circle, basically. We're gonna close the circle. We're gonna close the circle. We'll do like a big circle. It's kind of like a snake circle, kind of like a more snake, coil snake. Maybe it's not really a perfect circle, like a round circle across my place or neighborhood, but it's more like a coil snake. So I'm gonna get 2 hours, 2 hours and a half, I guess, close to 3 hours, maybe even 3 hours, maybe a little bit more, a little bit like slightly more than 3 hours, maybe. I'm not sure on that go, but here we are, you know. So that's what it is now, and that's what it is now. That's what we're gonna go do it with that. That's what we're gonna go do it with that. So here it is, you know. It's always something which we gotta procure, and always something which we gotta do, and always something which we gotta be mindful of and meditate about, you know, the trains. So that's looking east. Now I'm turning towards west, and that's north, and now I'm going a bit south. I'm going in the south. I'm just gonna pass by here. I used to do my laundry here less than like about 3.5 years ago. 3.5 years ago. Maybe 3 years ago even. I would say more than 3.5 years ago. I don't think it's been more, between 3.5 years and 5 years ago. At the corner there, I'm gonna, not here, but at the corner, so I was gonna turn my head here, you know, just to make sure that I cross this safely, you know. It's super important to cross safely here, you know, as my neighborhood. So now I'm back in my neighborhood. So my neighborhood really starts here, and then there, that's Montreal West. So here it starts NDG kind of starts here. So I used to do laundry right there. Laundry, that's the laundromat. I'm gonna pass by. So 3.5 years, for many years, for like, I used to do it for like 3.5 years, a little bit. I've been living here where I live now for like at least 7.5 years, at least 8 years, I would say. 8, maybe even 9. Before that, I just remember moving. I got that blackout of memories. So that's what we gotta get doing on that. We gotta get doing on the go. So we're gonna see on the go how we're gonna get drilling, man. Gonna get drilling on the here. So here I used to do laundry. Right here, it's still there. They haven't changed much, I guess. Still kind of the machines, and it's been 3.5 years.